Whoa! Whoa! Huh. Man, that was one mean little trip through the old boom tube. Quiet now, my purdy. Oh! Oh, what a day. Oh, my mom. Now, welcome once again to a secret, undisclosed location hidden somewhere deep in the bowels of historic downtown St. John's. Comes in the Library of Graphic Literature, which is where we are, and we're with your host, me, Wallace Roy. Oh, what a day. As many of you know, I live way out here on the east coast of Canada here, and on an island, so Newfoundland, so sometimes our shipments get delayed, so this is why this is on Tuesday instead of last Friday. I thought about doing an intervening one, but I didn't have enough time to really settle on one issue. I kept thinking of different things. Oh, I'll do this, oh, I'll do that, oh, I'll do this. So I ended up doing nothing. So, today the comics finally did arrive, though. Hallelujah. One moment. Sip of tea here. Monsoon Mountain Tea. It's a company in Scotland. This is an Orange Pekoe Lumbini estate, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Just for you tea fans out there who are wondering, you know, what it is I'm drinking there. But yeah, it's tea. Bit of milk, bit of honey. Anyway, comics. Yes, books. So anyway, the books, they did arrive for today, and let's pull the unpacking table a little bit closer to me. So I picked up a few books there this week. Not a huge amount, but some pretty cool stuff. So let's start with The Blade, and our first unwrapping of this week is the Justice League of America, the Bronze Age Omnibus Volume 2. And the Bronze Age, of course, was the age in which I grew up in terms of collecting. I was born during the Silver Age, and basically fell in love with comics at an early age, actually 3 years old, so I fell in love with comics back in the Silver Age. But that love was rewarded over and over again in the Bronze Age, and all the other ages since. I actually qualified this age that we're living in now, because I remember debating online with various people about this, and I believe what we're living in now is actually the golden age of graphic literature, because graphic novels are on the upswing. Everything that was ever put out in comic book form is being released by someone, so I mean it's a wonderful time to collect comics, let's just put it that way. Okay, all you lovely people out there. Oh, by the way, I did miss each and every one of you. So let's start with this. The Bronze Age. Let's have a look at they have the embossed cover that they usually have. But I like this series of omnibuses. They got them all the trade dresses exactly the same, so when I have them lined up there on top of my shelf there, they all look really, really nice together. So, beyond just the looks, let's go, because you can't judge a book by a cover. Well, you kind of can. To go back to this is actually, this contains a lot of the, because I started reading Justice League in the late 60s. I was a big fan of Mike Sikowski and then Dick Dillion when they took over. And the late 60s JLA to me was just like a wondrous time. Then we got into the 70s and it was still good. And oh, here we go, 100-pager. Here we go. So let's start with that there, folks. See that there? So so it starts with that. And these are all comics that I had at some point or another as a kid. All these Justice League. I like the fact that the Justice League, they'd get together to fight a menace, and then they'd break up into teams and they'd go off and fight that whoever the menace of that week was. So it was kind of cool, actually. But I don't know, this was kind of a great time for for the Justice League. I know some people prefer the late 60s stuff, but this I think they really did continue the... Oh, there, with that funny overhead banner thing going on there. With the Ernie Chua cover. This was still a great time for the Justice League. Of course, some cool crossovers as usual. Oh, here's another cool Ernie Chua cover. Ernie Chua, later to be known as Ernie Chan. He was a cool artist. I liked his stuff. Anyway, this goes on into the 70s. So most of the, like I say, just about all these comics. Oh, and this was around the time Neil Adams started to do some of the covers again for DC after being out in the wilderness for a few years. I wonder if it had to do with him sticking up for Siegel and Schuster. If so, he knows, of course, that we're all happy that he did. So anyway, this is just chock-a-block with Dick Dillion from start to finish. One of the more underrated artists in DC history, actually. I always liked his stuff. There was something about his Justice League that, I don't know, he kind of like, I like the way he did all the different superheroes. In terms of inking, I think that Frank McLaughlin actually inked him best. And he inked a fair amount of this, if I do believe. Let's just take a quick double check here in the, yeah, good old Frank McLaughlin. And Gordana inked him too. He was pretty good. But McLaughlin was my favorite. So, so another one worth picking up. Moving quickly along here. Oh, let's go to this one because it's already unwrapped and ready to go. Sip of tea first. I mean, this is an orange Pico that is, oh, like super orange Pico. Anyway, Bizarre Romance. Boo! This is a book by, or at least drawn by, Eddie Campbell, and it's partial prose and then bits of comics in between. So it's kind of like a whole different thing. From the, as it says on the back here, from the internationally best-selling author of The Time Traveler's Wife, Audrey Niffenegger, and the multi-award-winning artist of From Hell, Eddie Campbell, who I actually met down in New York one time at a little club where he was signing autographs of the amazing, remarkable Marshall Leonard, I think it was, and met him, had a chat with him. Really nice guy. I'm a big fan of his, especially From Hell, which to me is one of the most amazing graphic novels that Alan Moore ever did. So this one, excuse me while I hitch up the old pants and do this, come in close for it. This one's a little bit smaller, so I'll move in a little bit closer there. And so this one's kind of neat. Like I say, a bit of prose mixed in with some comics. It's kind of neat, advancing the art form one way or the other. I know there are some people who wouldn't like to see prose mixed in with comics, but it's kind of cool, I think. And why not? Really nice cover there. Bizarre Romance. So it looks like a cat and a bird. So when the cats and birds get together, it is a bizarre romance. Anyway, nice little graphic novel there. Oh, now let's get into, I'll save the very best last. Named Best Horror Comic of 2015, according to HorrorTalk.com. And it's funny because I'm not a real horror fan, like in the modern sense of the word, in terms of I don't like Friday the 13th or those slice and dice type of movies, whatever. I prefer I like the old-fashioned type of horror, or the more thoughtful type of horror. I prefer the horror where you don't see the monster, but you can hear the blood dripping from its fangs after it had just eaten your family, or whatever, you know. But this one is pretty cool. It's about a, let's see here what it says here. Oh, this is the second volume. Yeah, I do have the first volume. It's about a town and where all these serial killers had come from and all that, and it was pretty interesting actually. The artwork actually is very cool. So I actually like this comic. I do recommend it for anyone. It held my attention all the way through. But you know, I'll read it and see what this one is like. I know some people didn't like the latter part of the series as much as the earlier part, but hey, I'm willing to give it a try. So, Nailbiter. Like I say, not a huge horror fan per se, but you know, sometimes I do dig a bit of horror once in a while. Not a lot of books this week, as you can tell, but you know, that's the way it is sometimes. Sometimes it's a flood, sometimes it's a trickle. Ah, beautiful tea. Thank you, Rebecca, by the way. I get my tea through her from Monsoon Mountain, so go online, check them out. They do great. They import all this great tea from Asia, from Sri Lanka and stuff, and oh, wonderful, wonderful tea. All kinds of great teas there. And tell her that I sent you too, by the way. Okay, let's rip it up, wrap it down, and turn it around. The Sheriff of Babylon. Woo, Babylon, man. Now, this is a book of which I know nothing about. I bought it mainly because Tom King wrote it. Way to go, Tom. We love you, Tom. I love his vision. Absolutely incredible. His Mr. Miracle, stunning. This got to be good because, well, it's him. His Omega Man was great. I mean, come on. So what does it say here? Baghdad 2003. The reign of Saddam Hussein is over. The Americans are in command and no one is in control. Well, I think we all kind of knew that. Anyway, former cop turned military contractor Christopher Henry knows that better than anyone. He's in country to train up a new Iraqi police force. And one of his recruits has just been murdered. So, sounds cool, actually. I'll definitely give it a good read. It's funny, reading through his stuff, even though it's different artists a lot of times and all that, it all kind of looks the same in a way, but I mean, Tom King, Tom, like I say, love your stuff. And let's have a good close-in look. And yeah, very nice. I like, but like I say, top-notch storytelling. This man knows how to tell the story. Like I say, The Vision is one of my favorite superhero books of the past few years. Same with Mr. Miracle too. Another fabulous book. Okay, I think that's about it there in terms of the books there for this week. But I did have actually a little one little thing to show you folks. First of all, I have a question written over here from a viewer who asked me what did I think about the Fourth World Omnibus recall. This is from Giuseppe. How's it going, Giuseppe? And what do I think about the Fourth World Omnibus recall? Of course, there was a page missing, a page mixed up or whatever in the latest omnibus of the Fourth World, that big mother of all books. And of course, DC is offering a recall on it, so you can tear off the cover, send it back to them, you'll get a new edition. And that happens. You can't really fault DC for that. You can, I guess, fault the proofreader or whoever was keeping track of that sort of thing, but it happens. As to the recall, some people will send their books in for the recall, and that's good, especially if that, for instance, is the only copy of the Fourth World you have, then do, just to keep it all in order. But I got the Fourth World already in the individual books, so I'm actually going to hold on to mine, because with everyone returning the recall book, I will have one of the few rare editions left with the mistake. But the funny thing is, I'll probably never sell it anyway, so hey. And people ask me about that, and all these books you see around me, and like in the tour of the library, all these books I've been planning for years to either turn into a library or donate to a worthy cause. So so it's sort of frustrating sometimes when a book goes up in value, because it's just like, oh, this is supposed to be a library. So obviously it's not going to be a library where you're going to be able to take out books, just a research library, which it already is. It's actually been home so far to a few scholars come by. Paul Tucker, who's done work for IDW and Image, has come by. So quite a few. Let's see. Oh, do I collect the Walking Dead omnibuses? No, I don't. I collect the smaller hardcover ones, and the main reason for that was I came late in the game to The Walking Dead. I think it was on volume 4 of the bigger books, the bigger hardcover books, and so I just decided to go with them. I mean, it's, what are they, 14 issues or whatever. The next step up from the trade paperbacks, but they were more than good enough for me. They had The Walking Dead and they had the story, and that was good enough for me. It would be kind of cool to have had those. I know a friend of mine, he got all of them down here, especially the signed number ones. They're worth a pretty penny these days. But as I said before, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the comics. Speaking of which, actually there was one other thing I was going to show to all you out there, my adoring public, or liking public, because the other day, I like to chat. Whenever you leave a comment, I will actually always try to respond to it, by the way, and it's great because a lot of times I get into interesting conversations with people and stuff like that, and I can't remember who it was now, for the life of me. I'm starting to write these down now to take notes so I can credit people when they ask stuff like this. They seen somewhere that I draw comics too, and they were wondering what type of comics and this sort of thing. And I actually was trained as an artist. I went to the Ontario College of Art in Toronto, and did a couple of courses at the School of Visual Arts in New York City too. And like I say, loved comics all my life. And of course, once I learned how to draw, then got to do comics. I actually published with my friend Jerry Porter. We did the first comic in Newfoundland out here in Canada, and I did another one a few years later called Toxic with my friend Fox Lidstone. How's it going there, Fox? And oh, let's see. And then I've done a lot of editorial cartoons and then some journalistic type of comics, that sort of thing. But I really started to get back into it in the past few years, and I'm working on one title called Titus now, which is taking me a lot longer than I thought. And I'm actually lettering on a top secret project, soon to be announced. And when it does, you'll see me here announcing it, because I'll be so excited. I'll be flipping out here with happiness. With my good friend Paul Tucker. Way to go, Paul. Can't talk about it though for now. One, I am putting together, like I say, besides Titus, I want to do sort of a anthology title of some of my different comics, and one of the titles actually, it's funny to bring it up on a show like this, but and this is basically a partially ink page here I got here. I figure I'd just show you the actual artwork. This is an old character of mine that I invented in the early 80s, and that it actually ran in the newspaper at the Ontario College of Art, the newspaper in the early 80s. And it's called Omnibus. I'll get you folks look at it very closely here now. So it's kind of ironic that I'm a big Omnibus fan. And it's basically a story of a guy, Omnibus, who's sort of part villain, part hero, whatever, and he's out searching the universe for various kinds of cosmic bric-a-brac. You can see the blue line pages and behind. This is, like I say, these panels are still in the middle of being inked, same with that one and that one, but these two basically are done. So here it is, there he is, Omnibus. And it's a fun strip. This particular episode is only 4 pages long, but my favorite part of it actually comes on page 2, where he comes upon this giant cosmic curiosity, and it turns out to be Donald Trump's hair. So in this universe, Donald Trump's hair is sort of separated from Donald Trump and gained gigantic proportions and got out to menace the galaxy. It could happen. Anyway, as those are published and all that, I'll keep you appraised and all that. And like I say, once our top secret project with me and Paul becomes is solicited for, I'll let you folks know so you can go out and buy. Oh, whew, whew. So, once again, thank you all very much for tuning in, and there's going to be another in the Library of Graphic Literature just a few days away. So this Friday, stay tuned. Hopefully the comics will come in time this time. In the meantime, keep on reading, and I'll see you in the library. Yeah. What? Okay, well, someone made one of those boom tubes of yours. Oh, by the way, you might notice it's brighter too, actually, because usually I film these things at night, but it's still the afternoon here, so. Okay, ready? Okay, here we go. See you later, folks. Oh my God, look at the size of that. Oh, yeah!